Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, beautiful souls across the world today, I want to ask you something simple yet powerful. How are you spending your time? You see, time is the only thing we all get in equal measure. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, strong or weak, old or young. Each one of us gets 24 hours a day, but what we choose to do with those 24 hours, that is what defines the quality of our lives. There was a time in my life when I thought I had everything figured out. I had dreams, I had plans, I had timelines, but life has its own clock. One accident, one moment, and everything changed. I could no longer walk, but I could still think. I could no longer move freely, but I could still grow. And I realized it's not about how much time we have, it's about how intentionally we use it. Time is the most democratic gift we all receive. Every single person wakes up with the same 24 hours in a day. No one gets extra, no one gets less. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, what country you live in, or what challenges you faced, time is the one thing that is distributed equally. But what separates those who succeed, grow, and live fulfilled lives from those who remain stuck is how they choose to use it. Most people leave their days on autopilot. They wake up, go through routines they've repeated for years, and then wonder why nothing changes. The truth is, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Time will pass either way. The real question is, what are you doing with it? There are some people who seem to achieve so much in a day. They build careers, nurture relationships, learn new skills, and still find time to take care of themselves. Others, however, constantly feel behind, overwhelmed, and exhausted without seeing meaningful results. The difference lies not in having more hours, but in making those hours count. It's not about being busy, it's about being intentional. Many waste time without even realizing it. A quick glance at the phone turns into an hour of scrolling. Watching one video leads to watching 10. Small distractions pile up until half the day is gone. But when you're clear about your priorities, distractions become easier to avoid. You start making decisions based on your goals, not your impulses. And that's when things begin to shift. People who use their time wisely understand that every moment is an opportunity. They don't wait for the perfect time to begin. They don't wait to feel ready. They start where they are and take consistent steps forward. Progress doesn't come from giant leaps. It comes from small, repeated efforts made daily. 1 hour of focused effort every day can change your life over a year. But that only happens when you respect the value of your time. It's easy to say, I don't have time, but the truth is you do. Everyone does. It's not about having time. It's about making time for what matters. If something is important, you find a way. If not, you find an excuse. And while excuses might protect your comfort in the moment, they cost you growth in the long run. You also need to recognize the seasons of your life. There are times for learning, for building, for resting, and for healing. Not every hour needs to be productive in the traditional sense. Sometimes the best use of your time is simply taking care of your mental health, spending time with loved ones, or doing something that makes you feel alive. But even in rest, be intentional. Don't let your time be swallowed by things that don't nourish your soul. Time doesn't slow down for anyone. It keeps moving whether you use it well or not. That's why you must take control of how you spend it. Create a vision for your life, break it into daily actions and commit to them. Even if progress is slow, it's still progress. Don't compare your timeline to others. Everyone's path is different. What matters most is that you are moving in the direction of your dreams. One of the most empowering realizations you can have is that you are in charge of your time. You don't owe every moment of your day to others. Set boundaries, learn to say no. Not every opportunity is aligned with your goals. Not every person deserves your energy. When you become selective with how you spend your time, you start to notice a shift in your clarity, confidence, and peace. There will always be things outside of your control. But how you spend your time is not one of them. You can choose to waste it or invest it. You can spend it creating or consuming. You can live by design or by default. The power lies in your hands. Time is not the problem. How you use it is. The people who live deeply fulfilling lives are not the ones who had more time. They are the ones who made better choices with the time they had. So take a moment, reflect, and ask yourself, if time is the currency of life, are you spending it on what truly matters? Because once a moment is gone, you never get it back. Use your time wisely. Not later, not tomorrow asterisk asterisk, now asterisk asterisk. In a world filled with noise, pressure, and constant comparison, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Every day, we are pulled in 1,000 directions. Notifications buzzing, responsibilities stacking, and expectations building from every angle. It becomes second nature to run through our days reacting, rather than living intentionally. But there comes a point when you realize that a life full of activity is not the same as a life full of purpose. You begin to ask yourself, what am I really doing all this for? So many people spend years climbing ladders, only to reach the top and discover the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. They achieve success in the eyes of the world, but feel empty inside. Why? Because they focused on what was urgent, not what was important. They chased validation instead of meaning. They checked boxes on someone else's list instead of creating their own. To live a meaningful life, you must pause and reflect on what truly matters to you. Not what others expect, not what society deems impressive, but what genuinely fuels your soul. These aren't always grand, obvious things. Often, what matters most is quiet, steady, and deeply personal. It might be your health, your family, your peace of mind, your creativity, or your spiritual growth. It might be building something of value, helping others, or simply becoming the kind of person you're proud to be. But the truth is, you can't focus on what matters until you get clear about what that is. Clarity is everything. Without it, you drift through life hoping things fall into place. With it, you navigate your days with intention, making decisions that align with your values instead of your fears. Focusing on what truly matters often means making hard choices. It means letting go of things that once seemed important but no longer serve your growth. It might mean distancing yourself from people who drain your energy, even if they've been in your life for years. It could mean turning down opportunities that look good on paper, but don't align with your purpose. It might even mean walking away from a path you've invested years in, because deep down you know it's not where you belong. There is courage in choosing depth over distraction, meaning over momentum. It requires strength to say, this is not for me, even when everyone else seems to be doing it, but that courage is what sets you free. When you strip away the noise, you begin to hear your own voice again, and in that stillness, you reconnect with your truth. We often wait for a wake-up call, a health scare, a major loss, a break, and to realize what's actually important. But why wait? Why not choose today to realign your life with what matters most? You don't need a dramatic moment to start living with intention. All you need is honesty, reflection, and the willingness to change. Start by asking yourself, what brings me peace, what makes me feel alive, who do I become when I'm at my best, what am I willing to fight for, even when it's hard? The answers to these questions are your compass. Let them guide how you spend your time, where you place your energy, and what you pursue. When you focus on what truly matters, you begin to feel more grounded. You stop comparing yourself to others because you're no longer chasing their definition of success. You stop wasting energy on things that don't fulfill you. You begin to appreciate simple moments, a conversation with someone you love, a quiet walk, a small act of kindness, as deeply meaningful. Life stops being a race and starts becoming a journey you're actually present for. This kind of focus doesn't just change your outcomes, it changes your experience of life itself. Suddenly, you're not just going through the motions, you're living with purpose. Every decision, every action becomes a reflection of what you value most. And that is where fulfillment begins. You don't have to do everything, you just have to do what matters. Let go of the pressure to be everywhere, do everything, and please everyone. Choose to be where your heart is. Choose to build a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. Choose to honor your values, protect your peace, and stay aligned with your deeper purpose. Focusing on what truly matters doesn't mean your life will be perfect or pain-free, but it does mean you'll be able to face challenges with a sense of clarity and strength. It means you'll live with fewer regrets because you'll know that you made your choices based on love, not fear. It means that even in the hardest times, you'll have a strong foundation to stand on because your life is rooted in what's real. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice of your soul. Don't let busyness become a badge of honor that hides your burnout. Don't wait for someday to start living a life that feels meaningful now. Every day is a chance to refocus. Every moment is a chance to realign. You already know what matters. The question is, are you choosing it? Every day begins with a fresh opportunity to grow, create, and move closer to the life you want. But as soon as the day starts, so do the distractions. The phone lights up with notifications. Emails demand immediate replies. Social media feeds are waiting to be scrolled, and before you know it, hours have slipped away, hours you can never get back. The greatest thief of progress isn't always a major setback. More often, it's the accumulation of small, mindless moments lost to distraction. Distractions have become a normal part of daily life. They're so embedded in routines that many people don't even realize how much time they're losing. The constant ping of a message, the temptation to check just one more video, or the habit of multitasking. All of these things chip away at focus. And when focus is lost, so is productivity, creativity, and ultimately, progress. The mind is designed to seek novelty. It's wired to chase stimulation, and in today's digital world, that stimulation is endless. But the price of giving in to every distraction is high. Every time attention is pulled away, it takes time and energy to refocus. This mental shifting drains clarity and reduces the ability to think deeply, to solve problems, and to do meaningful work. Avoiding daily distractions doesn't mean living a rigid, joyless life. It means becoming more intentional. It means recognizing that not everything that asks for attention deserves it. It's about choosing what to respond to, what to ignore, and what to remove entirely from your environment. It starts by creating boundaries, not just with people, but with technology and habits. One of the most effective ways to avoid distractions is to start the day with clarity. When you know what matters most, it becomes easier to say no to what doesn't. Begin the day by identifying the top 3 things you need to accomplish. These are your priorities. Everything else is secondary. When you have a clear target, distractions have less power over you. Another important step is to manage your digital environment. Phones and computers are powerful tools, but without discipline, they become gateways to endless distraction. Turn off non-essential notifications. Create dedicated times to check messages or social media instead of leaving them open throughout the day. Use apps that block distracting sites during focus hours. Even small adjustments can lead to big changes in how much you accomplish. Physical environment matters too. A cluttered space often leads to a cluttered mind. Simplify your surroundings. Create a workspace that encourages focus. Keep it clean, quiet, and free from unnecessary items. Your environment should support your goals, not compete with them. It's also crucial to train your mind to stay present. Distractions aren't just external, they're internal as well. Thoughts, worries, and mental chatter can be just as disruptive as any notification. Practicing mindfulness, journaling, or even taking a few minutes each day to breathe deeply and center yourself can sharpen your focus and increase your awareness of how you're spending your time. Discipline is a muscle. The more you practice avoiding distractions, the stronger your ability to stay focused becomes. Start small. Choose 1 hour each day to work without interruption. Over time, increase that focus time. Celebrate your ability to stay present. You're not just avoiding distractions, you're taking control of your life. The truth is, every moment spent distracted is a moment taken from your future. The book you want to write, the business you want to build, the skill you want to master, all of it depends on your ability to stay focused in the present. Progress doesn't happen in bursts of inspiration. It happens in quiet, consistent work done without interruption. Of course, life will always have unexpected interruptions. That's normal. But there's a difference between responding to what matters and reacting to everything. Learn to pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is this worth my time right now? If not, return to your focus. Reclaim your moment. In the end, living a life of purpose requires protecting your attention. It's not enough to have goals. You need the discipline to pursue them with focus. Distractions are everywhere, but so is your power to choose. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware, intentional, and consistent. Avoiding daily distractions isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's about choosing progress over momentary pleasure, clarity over chaos, and intention over impulse. When you learn to master your attention, you unlock the full potential of your time, energy, and mind. And that is the foundation for anything meaningful you want to build. Life has a way of testing every person at some point. There are days when nothing goes as planned, moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, and seasons when pain seems to be the only constant. These times are never easy, and no one welcomes them. Yet, they often become the moments that define the depth of a person's character and the direction of their growth. It's not the difficulty itself that transforms a life, but the response to it. When faced with hardship, people either break down or break through. The choice is never easy, but it is always theirs. Painful experiences can shake the very foundation of who someone thinks they are. A loss, a failure, a betrayal, or a major setback can leave a person feeling powerless, confused, and stuck. But within that struggle lies the potential for clarity, strength, and transformation. Difficulty strips away illusions. It reveals what truly matters. It shows who a person is when everything superficial is taken away. And in that raw, honest place, real growth begins. No one grows during comfort. Growth requires pressure, resistance, and the courage to face what is uncomfortable. Like a seed buried in the soil, breaking through the darkness is what leads to life. Struggle builds resilience. It teaches patience. It demands humility. It challenges a person to reach deep inside themselves and find a part they didn't know existed. Strength they never had to call on before, but always carried within. Some of the strongest, wisest, and most compassionate people have endured more than they ever thought possible. They didn't choose their pain, but they chose what to do with it. Instead of letting it harden them, they let it shape them. Instead of staying angry at life, they chose to learn from it. Instead of giving up, they decided to grow. Choosing growth during difficult times doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging the pain while refusing to let it define the future. It means being honest about the struggle, yet holding on to the belief that something meaningful can still come from it. Pain is not a sign of weakness. In fact, the willingness to feel deeply and keep going is one of the greatest signs of strength. Difficult times offer unique lessons that no book, course, or mentor can teach. They teach empathy because once someone has suffered, they understand the suffering of others. They teach gratitude because the smallest joys shine brighter after a storm. They teach resilience because after getting through what once seemed impossible, a person walks taller, more assured in their ability to handle whatever comes next. Sometimes growth means learning to let go of expectations of people, of identities that no longer serve. Sometimes it means standing up for oneself for the first time. Other times it means learning to receive help and allow vulnerability. Each challenge offers a different kind of lesson, and each one carves out space for something new. One of the most powerful shifts anyone can make during hard times is to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can this teach me?" That change in perspective opens the door to growth. It doesn't erase the pain, but it gives the pain purpose, and when pain has purpose, it becomes easier to bear. There's also beauty in the slowness that difficult times bring. When life forces a pause, when everything seems uncertain, it creates space for reflection. In that stillness, people begin to see who they are becoming and what they truly value. They begin to notice parts of themselves that have been neglected in the rush of everyday life. It is in these moments that they begin to rebuild not just their lives, but their inner selves, stronger, wiser, more aligned with who they want to be. There is no timeline for healing. There is no one size fits all answer for how to grow through pain. But the consistent truth is this: growth is always possible. Even in the darkest times, the light of possibility still flickers. Every day, someone chooses to rise despite the weight of grief, to smile through tears, to take one more step forward. That is growth. And that is powerful. People often look back on their hardest times and realize those were the turning points, the moments that redirected their lives, awakened hidden strengths, and brought unexpected blessings. What seemed like the end was actually a beginning. What felt like a breakdown was the start of a breakthrough. It takes courage to turn pain into purpose. It takes strength to find meaning in the mess. But every time someone chooses to rise instead of retreat, to heal instead of hide, they become living proof that hard times don't define a person. What they do with them does. No one escapes life without struggle. But those who choose to grow through it don't just survive, they transform. They become more grounded, more grateful, and more capable of facing the future with an open heart. And in doing so, they become an example to others that even in pain there is potential. Even in hardship there is hope. Even in difficulty there is growth. There comes a time in every journey where exhaustion sets in. The mind feels overwhelmed, the body weary, and the heart starts to question if the path is even worth continuing. It's in these moments that quitting can seem like the most reasonable option. But the truth is, most people don't give up because they lack the ability. They give up because they're tired, frustrated, and emotionally drained. And what they often need isn't an exit. It's a pause. There is a big difference between quitting and resting. Quitting is a permanent decision often made in a temporary emotional state. Resting is a strategic pause that allows the body and mind to recover, refocus, and rise again with renewed strength. The most successful, fulfilled, and resilient people understand the value of rest. They know that pushing through burnout doesn't lead to breakthroughs. It leads to breakdowns. And they've learned that real power lies in knowing when to take a breath without giving up the dream. Emotions are real and powerful. They can fuel passion, inspire action, and create deep connections. But when someone is operating purely from emotion, especially during moments of fatigue or stress, decisions made can lead to regret. A bad day, a moment of rejection, a phase of slow progress. These are not reasons to throw everything away. These are signals that it's time to slow down, check in with yourself, and regain clarity. Rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a strategy. It's a conscious choice to step back in order to step forward more effectively. When the mind is clear and the heart is calm, better decisions are made. The clarity that comes from rest often reveals that the goal is still valid. It's just the approach or mindset that needs adjusting. Sometimes it's not the path that's wrong, but the pace. In today's culture, there's often pressure to hustle nonstop, to always be grinding, to prove your worth through constant activity. But that mindset leads to exhaustion, not excellence. True sustainability comes from balance. Progress doesn't require sacrificing well-being. In fact, the best progress happens when energy is aligned, motivation is refreshed, and purpose is reconnected through intentional rest. Stepping away doesn't mean you're falling behind. Sometimes, stepping away is exactly what allows you to move forward with purpose and precision. It gives you the space to breathe, to evaluate what's working and what isn't, and to reconnect with the deeper reason why you started in the first place. That why becomes your compass when emotions try to blur your vision. One of the most important things to understand is that fatigue can distort perception. When you're mentally and emotionally drained, everything seems harder, more hopeless, more overwhelming. In that state, the brain is more reactive, more likely to see obstacles as dead ends instead of challenges to be overcome. That's why emotional decisions made in exhaustion rarely lead to growth. They lead to missed opportunities and delayed dreams. Before making a final decision to quit, ask yourself, am I truly done, or am I just tired? Have I lost my passion, or have I just neglected my own needs for too long? Have I given this everything, or am I running on fumes? If the answer leans toward exhaustion, then the solution is not to quit, but to rest, mindfully, intentionally, and without guilt. Rest looks different for everyone. For some, it's stepping away from the noise and sitting in silence. For others, it's spending time in nature, journaling, or reconnecting with loved ones. It might be sleep, solitude, or simply doing something joyful that has nothing to do with achievement. Whatever it looks like, rest should be restorative. It should give space for healing and reflection, not avoidance. Even in the most driven pursuits, there must be moments of stillness. Just as muscles need recovery after intense exercise to grow stronger, so too does the mind and spirit. In those quiet moments, inspiration often returns. Clarity comes back. Solutions emerge, and with it, the strength to continue not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Life will challenge your resolve. It will test your endurance, but those who learn to rest without quitting are the ones who last. They're the ones who understand that progress isn't always loud or fast. Sometimes, the most powerful step forward begins with a pause. So when you feel like quitting, take a step back instead. Create space to breathe, honor your effort, recognize your fatigue without judging it. Then, when you're ready, return. Not with the weight of emotion, but with the clarity of intention. You are allowed to rest. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed. You're allowed to not have all the answers right now. But don't let temporary emotions rob you of permanent possibilities. The journey is still yours. The dream is still alive, and the strength you need is not gone. It's simply waiting for you to catch your breath. There's a quiet lie that holds many people back from starting the things that matter most to them. It whispers that everything needs to be perfectly aligned before they begin. The right time, the right mood, the perfect plan. And so they wait. They wait for clarity, for confidence, for some sign that it's time. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There's only now, and now is always the right time to begin. Waiting for perfection is a form of procrastination dressed in noble clothing. It convinces you that you're being smart, cautious, responsible. But what it really does is delay progress. It turns dreams into somedays and opportunities into regrets. Perfection isn't just impossible, it's unnecessary. What matters far more than flawless execution is consistent effort. What matters is taking the first step, even when you're unsure, even when it feels messy, even when you're scared. Progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands movement. It asks for your willingness to begin, your courage to keep going, and your patience to grow through the process. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master fumbled at the start. No one gets it right on day one. What sets successful people apart isn't that they were perfect from the start. It's that they didn't let imperfection stop them. Too many people never launch the business, never write the book, never take the class, never change their habits. Not because they aren't capable, but because they're waiting to be completely ready. But readiness is built through action. You become ready by starting. You gain clarity by doing. You build confidence by showing up again and again, even when the results aren't immediate. Taking imperfect action is how you gain momentum. One small step forward is worth more than hours of overthinking. Start with what you have where you are and do what you can. You don't need the full picture right now. Just take the next best step, and then the next. Let progress be your focus, not perfection. The journey will not be without missteps. You will make mistakes. You will learn through trial and error, but every stumble is a part of your growth. Every misstep teaches you something new. If you wait until you know everything, you'll never move. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to believe that starting is even possible. Fear of imperfection is often rooted in fear of judgment. What others will think if you fail, if you struggle, if your efforts don't measure up. But the opinions of others don't build your life. You do. Most people are too focused on their own path to notice every flaw in yours. And those who do notice, they're rarely the ones doing the work themselves. Choosing progress over perfection also means giving yourself grace. It means being kind to yourself when things don't go as planned. It means celebrating effort, not just outcomes. Growth doesn't happen in straight lines. Some days you'll leap forward, other days you'll barely move. But as long as you keep showing up, you are moving forward. You don't need to do it all at once. You don't need to be great to begin. You just need to begin to become great. Set small goals, build small habits, let consistency compound over time. What feels insignificant today becomes transformation over time. Trust that every bit of effort counts, even when it doesn't look impressive yet. And when doubt creeps in, as it will remind yourself that progress is built through daily choices, not occasional bursts of perfection. Focus on being just 1% better than yesterday. That's enough. Over time, those small improvements lead to big change. Don't wait for approval. Don't wait for certainty. Don't wait for the stars to align. Start now. You don't need a perfect plan. You need action. You don't need all the answers. You need a willingness to learn. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to be true to what matters to you. There will never be a perfect time, but there is power in this moment. Power to begin, power to commit, power to take one small step that will lead to another. Progress is the path forward, and it begins not someday, but today, not perfectly, but now.